Hello, and welcome back to Ask Abby Dreyer. Last month, we talked about how to avoid becoming the next Me Too story, and in the last 4 weeks, there's been a hailstorm of both men and women coming forward with their own Me Toos. It's been really hard for a lot of us to relive those moments either by sharing them or by being reminded of them as another person shares their own story. Many people have asked how they can best support the people they care about as events like this unfold. The trouble is, there's no one way to support people through this. Everyone's needs are different, and they can change depending on the situation. So what's an ally to do? Well, start with listening. Listening is one of two constant needs that people have when they tell their stories. If someone asks you to listen to their story, give them the honor of your undivided attention. Turn off the television or whatever else may bring distraction. If the story is written, read the whole thing. Don't skip over the parts that are uncomfortable, rambling, or duplicative. Read every word. They wrote each word for a reason. Honor that. If they're in person, make sure they have the right environment to feel safe and heard while they talk. And pay attention to their body language for cues on what they might need. A drink, a tissue, a hug, space. More on that later. Next, believe them. I'm sure you've seen the believeher hashtags everywhere, and they exist for a reason. People's stories often receive disbelief or outright rejection. When the person is telling you their story, believe that it is a real thing that they experienced. Whether they may have misinterpreted something or misremembered something is irrelevant right now. Believe that this is their truth. So we've gone through the things that should always be done. Now we're at the part that gets a little dicey in terms of what the right thing to do is. And that is, you have to ask what they need. Did they just need to tell the story? Do they need you to give advice? Do they need you to tell them that you still love and respect them? Do they just want to sit and stare at the wall but not be alone? Do they need a hug? Do they need a drink? Do they need space? How can you figure out what they need from you? Ask. Asking the question can be hard though. So what do you need from me can easily be misinterpreted by someone who's going through an emotional ringer. I find that how can I best support you right now is a great question to help the storyteller feel safe telling you what they need. But sometimes they may not know what they need, and they need you to be okay with that. If they're coming to you with the story, they trust you enough to have some understanding of how they work and what they might need. Suggest things that you think may be helpful based on what you know about them, and then follow through. Now, some of these Me Too stories may not seem like that big of a deal to you, even though they had a profound impact on the storyteller's life. In the sliding scale of trauma, something that experienced may have been way worse than what they're telling you about their story. That doesn't matter. It's not a contest for who has the worst Me Too story. This is about people finally feeling safe enough to tell their story, to provide the broad range of abuse, assault, and violence and coercion that's out there. The normalization of what is seemingly insignificant is what keeps so many people silent for so long. It's time for that to stop. It's time for us all to understand the nuance of sexual abuse so that we can stop the cycle from repeating. I encourage you to continue to work to become part of the solution. Thanks for listening, and I have a thing to ask. I'd like to put together a book, a collection of Me Too stories that run the full spectrum from the seemingly innocuous to the worst case. In short, I want to help you tell your stories. Your story can be anonymous, or you can sign it, but it will be your story. Please check out askabbydreyer.com/me-too for more information. Until next month, please be kind to each other, listen, and believe.